Jack Campbell backstopped the Oilers to a 4-1 win Monday against the Kraken in preseason action, stopping 32 of 33 shots. Through 2 preseason starts, he's given up just 2 goals. Stuart Skinner's given up 6 in his last 2 starts. Keep in mind, this is, of course, the preseason.
We understand that we need both goalies. It's a 2-goalie league now. We have 1A and 1B, and they're going to sort out who's who.
It's opening night starters.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, sure.
Something. Is it an open competition for that job?
Yes. It's an open competition. And we've had, like I said, I thought there's been good moments from both goalies. And they both are going to get another game here to sort that out, make my decision easy.
We are a week away from the NHL regular season and thrilled to be joined by one of our favorites, Frankie Corrado. And Frankie, we know Stuart Skinner had a terrific year last year. He was a Calder nominee. We know Jack Campbell had a bit of an off year last year in his first year with Edmonton. But we also know they're paying Jack Campbell twice as much money.
Yeah.
Who deserves to get that opening night start for this team?
Whoever's playing better, but ultimately Jack Campbell's making $5 million. You get paid $5 million to be a starting goaltender, and you need to be that starting goaltender. I know it's a 2-goalie league and you need the tandem, but someone needs to lead the way. And when it comes playoff time, someone needs to be the guy that says, I'm going to take the ball and run with it. Of course, you have a guy like Stuart Skinner who last year exceeded expectations. It was a pleasant surprise. Wasn't designed to be that way. When something is not designed to be that way and it ends up going down that path, it just feels like there's a certain expiration date on how long that can last in that given moment. So listen, if Jack Campbell's having a great preseason, that's great for him. It's great for the team. They need him to be every bit of that $5 million goaltender that they paid him to be, because the fact of the matter with the cap is when you have these dollars allocated, you expect a certain amount of production, whether it's a goaltender, defenseman, or forward. He needs to be that guy, and he's on the right step to it with having a good preseason now.
You mentioned the cap, and that is the issue facing the Ottawa Senators right now. In the nation's capital, they want to sign Shane Pinto. Shane Pinto apparently wants to sign with the Senators. There's just no cap room to do it. They've got to trade someone. Everybody knows that. Everyone has known the situation for a long time, Frankie, and yet we're at some sort of stalemate here. Have the Sens overplayed their hand here a little bit?
They should have prioritized this with Shane Pinto. And here's the fact of the matter when it comes to restricted free agents. If you don't have arbitration rights as a player, the team is going to try and squeeze you, and there's nothing you can do, and you have no leverage. If I'm Shane Pinto, he had 20 goals, 15 assists last year for 35 points. He probably looks at comparables and says, okay, Connor Brown, when he came off his entry level with the Leafs, exact same numbers, plus 1 assist for Connor Brown.
Yeah.
He ended up getting $2.1 million per year, so $6.3 million over the 3-year term. If I'm Shane Pinto, I'm thinking, well, why do I have to take a $1 million contract? Because you didn't prioritize me? No. Pay me what I'm owed, and we'll go from there. I'm surprised, though, that there hasn't been like a top drawer kind of little deal that's happened here, okay?
Yeah.
Where it's like, listen, you got to take the 1 year, $1 million.
Yeah.
We got this tucked away in the drawer for you, and we'll get it done. Kevin LeBanc did it with the San Jose Sharks a few years back. The problem is the PA doesn't like it, the players don't like it, because it screws up comparables for everyone else.
Right.
But eventually, you'll get what you deserve.
Yeah.
The fact that that hasn't happened yet would lead me to believe that maybe there's a little bit of a trust thing here. And if there's no trust, at some point, he's going to have arbitration rights. They're going to go to arbitration so fast, they're going to get a speeding ticket on the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's how quick it's going there. It's detrimental to the kid that he's not at training camp, because go look at players that have missed training camp, especially young players, and see how that season went for them. It's not pretty.
And does this kind of thing potentially linger for a kid like this, just knowing that he wasn't prioritized? Even though he is young, he's just starting in the league?
Yeah, for sure. It's like one of those things that arbitration, we talk about it all the time, where there's some things that are said, and eventually, you don't want to be in that room and hear those things. Well, this is somewhat similar, because you know what your worth is. The player believes he's worth a certain number. The number is not even that egregious. The team should be able to accommodate that number, and especially with the narrative of Shane Pinto so important to this team. He's so important to the future of this team. Okay, great. If he's that important, you can find $1.5 million more to pay him, and not even to keep him happy, but just to pay him what he's deserved. And you'll probably get the best version of that player.
You lock in that third line center. You have him for a long time. You keep him. It just doesn't make sense to me. TSN's top 50 list of the best players in the NHL continues to be revealed. We're going to have a look at the list right now. Captain Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks, sitting at number 34, up from 46 last year. Now, Frankie is a former National Hockey League defenseman. We must put that caveat in because he'll favor the D-men, and I totally appreciate that. Too high or too low? Quinn Hughes at 34, Frank.
Too low on this for me. I had him higher. I had him 10 spots higher on my own personal list. I had him at 24. And I'm just so bullish on his game. I just think if you stay up and watch Quinn Hughes play, and I say that because, you know, here on the East Coast, if you don't stay up and watch the Vancouver Canucks, you're missing something with this guy. It's pretty special what he's able to do night in and night out. And, you know, 2 years ago, he's a top 10 defenseman in points. Last year, he's a top 3 defenseman in points. He's had that steady progression, and he's done it kind of without, like, that steady partner. Like, he had Chris Tanev in the early goings. He doesn't have that anymore. He's just been one of those guys that the production is so steady. He's such a fluid skater. He gets up and down the ice with so much ease. He's been very durable. He hasn't played 82 games the last couple of years, but he's been very durable. I'm super high on him. He's a bona fide #1 defenseman in the league, and he deserves more recognition than he gets, you know, on the national scale.
So what you're saying is East Coast bias, once again.
I'm not saying that. People in Vancouver might say that. But I'm not saying that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's stick with Vancouver. And you brought up the fact that Quinn Hughes has not had a regular partner since Tanev. And now Rick Tocchet is apparently going to do something a little bit different. He's going to go with a bit of a defense by committee situation. So, you know, players don't necessarily have regular defense partners, which in today's NHL seems incredible to me. As a former defenseman, how do you feel about that approach? Is it just kind of like, this is what we have to do based on the personnel we have on this team?
It sounds like that's what Rick Tocchet is saying. He's basically saying, I don't have the perfect defense partner for Quinn Hughes, and that's where everything kind of stems from. When he had Chris Tanev, you were never going to mess with that pairing. And you look at great D pairings on great teams over the years. So I go back to the Colorado Avalanche. They still have it. It's Taves and Makar. For years in the Blackhawks, it was Keith and Seabrook, right? Like when Pittsburgh was winning their cups, it was Dumoulin and Letang. And you were never going to mess with that. So the Vancouver Canucks don't have that. And what they have is a guy who they acquired in Filip Hronek, who probably needs to play on the second pair, because if you don't have a puck mover on the second pair. So the problem you're going to run into now is a D pair is going to play well together, and they're going to start to establish what they do well on the ice. They're going to read off of each other, and it's almost going to be, for that pair, there'll be less communication involved. And now you're going to start changing things around and moving things around because other pairings are inefficient. And you're going to look at that as a player and say, hold on a sec. I'm holding up my end of the bargain with my partner here. We got a good thing going. You figure it out around us. You know, like we're good here. So, and it becomes one of those things where if we're in the defensive zone and we're taking a face-off, I've been playing with the guy a little while now. We know exactly how we want to escape the zone. We know what we want to do. We understand the reads. And we're on the same page. You start changing it up a little too much, there's a lot of miscommunication involved. And you know the way it is in the NHL. It doesn't take much to lose a game. It's such a fine line between winning and losing, and that's the only thing that would worry me about that. But it all stems from the fact that Quinn Hughes doesn't have a player or someone on that team who can and should be playing with him on a nightly basis.
Can we quickly show that list one more time, Kerry, very quickly? Alexander Ovechkin ranked just ahead of Quinn Hughes at number 33. How many more top 50 seasons does he have left?
At least 2. Like, I have him higher than 33 on my list. I have him 26 on my list. This guy is going to go out there. He's going to probably rip home 40 goals again this year. And listen, I understand he's 38 years old. He's still a monster on the ice. Like, he'll still go and run you through the boards. He's such a menacing force out there. And it's not just the one-timer on the power play. Not to mention, the one-timer on the power play, teams have been trying to figure out for years how to stop that. They still can't do it.
Can't do it.
They kill. So he belongs there, and he's going to be there for a little while longer, as long as he shows that he's scoring between 35 and 40 goals, and he's between, 75 and 80 points, he's there.
And now you've got Nick Backstrom presumably healthy for a full season. So here we go.
Yeah, we'll
the
see.
The boys are back together.
We'll see. Like, the hip needs to hold up.
Yeah.
There were times last year with Backstrom where it's like, is he going to make it through this game? Is he moving okay? Like, I hope for him, because he's such a great playmaker, and he's been such an integral part of that team for a long time. And it's going to be tough to make the playoffs for that team, because there's a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference, especially in the Metro, that are knocking on the door, and there's going to be some good teams that miss the playoffs this year.
I cannot wait till next week, and we get to talk about real games. Frankie, thanks for this.
Thank you.